Hey guys and gals, welcome back to the next episode. During this episode, I wanted to kind of make it a two-part series off of pain. I want to cover emotional and physical in their own separate episode. Excuse me. And this episode, I want to cover emotional pain. Emotional pain is not that pain where, you stub your toe and you're worried about what's going to happen next. Emotional pain for me is everything that's collectively been bottled up for the past 20 years in the military, from day one of me joining boot camp till day +1 after me retiring. And now that I've been retired for 5 years now, I'm learning how to control that emotional pain. For me, emotions, I think my emotions started, I'm not going to say I was a robot, but I think the furthest I can think back is 2001, not during the Twin Towers bombing, but 7 days after it, when a friend who I call my brother, since we've known each other since we were 2, passed in a car accident. That's the earliest recollection that I remember of when I started bottling my emotions up. First time I remember going to the VA, I was diagnosed clinically depressed. Suicide was always on my mind. I just didn't know how to live without him anymore. It almost seemed that my life wasn't worth living. But I progressed, medication again. But the emotional pain was still with me. Fast forward 2007, you'll probably hear me talk about this a lot. I had the privilege to serve with the first ID in the Army on a very awesome team. It was an Iraq assistance group where we transitioned border teams, military teams. Got to meet a lot of people. Met a friend. Sorry, VA calling me. Met a friend out there who passed, and it resonated again that I lost somebody, and the emotions, as a Marine, we're told to bottle those up, save them for later, save them for when you're shooting at the enemy. Fast forward again. I'm not gonna just go through everybody that's passed during the wartime. Just tell you some notable ones. And I want to say probably about 2010, another unit, Marine, passed. And these emotional stressors started building up. And fast forward to today, before COVID, when I used to drive to drop the kids off at school, and I would drive to work, I used to just scream to the top of my lungs, start crying. All these emotions that I've been bottling in for 20 some odd years just started coming out, and I didn't know how to react to them. And I would do that on a daily basis. On my way to work, I would hide it from my family. I would hide it from my coworkers. I would bang on the steering wheel, bang on the center console, you know, it's not to where, you know, I wanted to run off the road or hurt somebody. That's the only way I knew how to get this out. It is just screaming and just bawling my eyes out. So emotional pain for me was a surreal moment when I started having these episodes of crying and screaming. You know, I can look back. I'll probably do another episode on death. But if you've ever, you know, served on independent duty or inspector duty, you'll know what I'm talking about, especially as a staff NCO. You know, you do burial ceremonies for vets, and you just see the emotions from the families, you know, losing loved ones, and you kind of, even though you don't know these people from Jack and Jill, but you kind of connect with them on their loss, and having to do 40, 50, 60, 70, up to 100 a year, you become numb to those emotions. And it kind of like, you know, you take that emotion out of the air, put it in your pocket, and you just save it for later. You know, they do offer some type of counseling, but I don't know one Marine that's ever done that. You know, it would have been a great service probably for me, but they would have probably, you know, gave you one counseling and kicked you on your way. But, you know, going forward into much more of emotional pain as a staff NCO, you know, on independent duty, you had to conduct these tasks called CACOs, which is Casualty Assistance Casualty Office, where, you know, ex-Marine was killed in combat, and you were the first to be notified, and you had to go notify these parents or wives, husbands, grandparents that, you know, Johnny's dead, or, you know, Johnny is in the hospital breathing out of a tube and you need to go say your goodbyes. I myself have probably done a little under 75 of these, and they don't get any better. I mean, I could tell you some horror stories, I could tell you some funny stories, but seeing the emotions from somebody else, you kind of absorb those emotions. Well, I absorbed those emotions, and they kind of made them my own. You know, the nightmares, the constantly worrying about who's going to do mine. Am I going to be next? And it just eventually becomes this catalyst for an explosion. You know, as a staff NCO, you never want to seek help because you don't want to ever see your junior Marines looking at this weak staff NCO who has an emotions, who bleeds red, who cries, who is only human. You know, the Marines, they teach you don't show weakness. Man, let me get back to my composure. I'm dealing with the emotional breakdown now as a 43-year-old man. Every day I burst into tears, try to drown out or whatever these bottled up emotions that I've taken on over the years that are not mine. I feel like I need to get them out. I think crying is like my soul bleeding, and it puts a toll on your mental your mental capacity. There are moments where, again, I would cry. I would get it all out. And I would forget what I was doing. I would forget what's going on. It was almost as if, you know, like I said, I took on these emotions of other people, and I was finally releasing them. But they were mine. The military puts so much pain and emotional pain on their service members, And, you know, they do offer some great programs, but it's the selfishness of the individual, myself, for not taking advantage of these programs. If only I knew what I knew now, would have I? Because I didn't want to be that weak person that showed their Marines, hey, I'm going to counseling because I saw a dead body in a casket, or I had to tell ex-parent that her son's head is splattered all over a Humvee and you might not be able to see his face, but I need you to come recognize his body. You know, those are the types of pains that's always going to live with you. But for a message, if you're watching this or reading this, don't be afraid to seek help. You know, especially if you're a senior enlisted or an officer or whatever, don't be afraid to seek help. You're only hurting yourself in the long run. I am totally paying for that now. I'm on medication to make my happiness go up. It's not something that we need to do, and I don't know what else you know can be expressed from this. But don't be afraid to cry. I cry all the time. Don't be afraid to get a punching bag and beat it. You know, don't be afraid to cry in front of your spouse. Don't be afraid to cry in front of your children. They need to know that their daddy is human. You know, we are Superman to them. Don't be afraid to let them know that you have a weakness. I appreciate the opportunity to express my mental illness in front of everybody. Whoever watches this, it's my way of opening up, releasing all this emotional tension that I have. And I hope you guys enjoy these videos, not for a comical purpose, but more of a soothing, hey, this is therapeutic. So if you like these videos, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to Andrew-Unfiltered, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks.